Hey guys, alright, it's Brett from Body Martial Arts. In case you don't know, I'm on a channel here on YouTube that focuses mainly on old style traditional martial arts conditioning training, endurance and toughness training, different aspects of stuff like that. Okay, so I've been doing some live stream trainings, and thanks a lot for the guys who join in and comment and like and subscribe and support the Patreon and just support the channel. So today we're going to do some stance training. So we're going to do a number of different things. We're going to be in stance for a while, so this is an easy one to do if you're around. So yeah, thanks for the thumbs up, whoever's joined in. And again, if you want to comment, put up the comments and we'll have a check of the comments. We'll address some other stuff. We'll do some different training, but we're going to start with some stance training, which is a great area that many people come and ask me about. Not that I'm some knowledgeable sage. So I've tried to set up the mats here so that you can see my feet, because that's important for the stance training. So we're going to go from we're just going to cover loads of different things for stance training and alignment and stuff like that. Okay, so first off, horse stance and the requisite stances. This is a nice training routine I like to do, so we'll get straight into it. Now, the main problem with horse stance, loads of people approach me about horse stance, is that the main problem is people lack the requisite flexibility to do horse stance properly. So what I mean is, they go to the Kung Fu schools, they learn online or whatever, wherever you go, and you go to the school and sometimes the teacher doesn't quite fully understand themselves, or they haven't been taught in a specific way or whatever, but they're just taught old school. You stand in horse stance, you go as low as you go, and you just have to stand like that for hours and hours, and that's how you develop a good horse stance. But no, there's so many different ways to develop good horse stance, and it doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from standing in a rigid horse stance. It comes from flexibility. Now, don't forget, the people you see, the Shaolin monks and stuff like that, doing this awesome horse stance, also have the prerequisite flexibility to go with it. In the West, we don't. In the West, we don't routinely do sitting squats like this, where we sit and stuff like that. We don't do things like that. And we're not even touching on those simple things. So if you are a modern day Kung Fu practitioner, modern day martial artist practitioner, or whatever, and you want to improve your horse stance, you want to do, and you want to know some tips off me, well, let's have a watch. All right. So I've got the old Iron Body martial arts shirt on here, so let's give it a go straight off the bat. So the number one thing we're going to do straight off the bat is we're going to do split stance. Yeah, this is to develop the prerequisite flexibility. And what we're also going to do is we're going to go wider than we would normally go to develop the flexibility. Now, this is great physio. This is great for checking any imbalances in your hips and imbalances in your muscles that are going to stop you from training properly, all right? So, yeah. Oh, excellent. 3 thumbs up. So, all you're going to do easily is you're going to put your hands out, yeah, and then you're going to jump. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see. You're going to jump till your ankles roughly line up with your palms, with your wrists. Yeah, and that's what I call the split stance. Now, this is a great first posture. This is a great training posture, and this is also a good place to check where your stances and flexibility are. And also, it's a great stance to hold. Yeah, now toes are pointing forward. Yeah, and then you allow your toes to root as well by slightly flexing forward the weight. Yeah, so you always hear in the Kung Fu and in the martial arts training about feet gripping the floor, and everyone thinks that it's about digging your toes into the floor. Well, no, what it's really about, my understanding of it, is about leaning your weight slightly forward, just a bit, just tilting forward on a little bit of an angle at your axis here, not like this. The whole being comes forward. This is also prevalent in Qigong and stuff like that. And what that does is it just takes a bit of the weight off the heel, not all, just a teeny bit of weight off the heel, and sets the weight on the forefoot and on the toes, and it naturally digs them into the floor. yeah, through shift of balance and shift of weight. Yeah. Now you change the physics of how your body's moving, because you're not back with these front muscles engaged on the heels where it's difficult to crouch. You're forward on the forefoot a little, and then you're crouching in like this. Now it's no excuse, well, don't crouch yet, but it's no wonder that the Shaolin who practice on the plumb bosom poles, they're so important, the poles, for practicing your horse stance, for training the stances, famous for training the stances, because also on a post or on a brick or anything that you put down, you can't really put your whole heel into it. You're mainly balancing on the forefoot and the front 3/4 of the foot, and not so much of the heel. So there's a little bit of a martial arts secret, a martial arts trick for you, which is the weight being learning to put the weight on the forefoot and not on the heel. Because everything in the West is heel, toe, heel takes all the weight. But our agility and the agility of other animals and other things in life comes from the forefoot. With some animals, like a cat, their heels even evolved up. Yeah, so they literally, cats live on their forefoots technically, and their heel has been stretched all the way up, yeah, to the top of their foot. If you have a look at a cat's foot or other animals that run fast and stuff like that, yeah. So we're kind of lending from that physics, yeah, we're lending from that. Okay, so again, it's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world, but stay tuned, do some training, whatever. So that's what I want you guys to do first. So just have your hands here, having them split stance, and then just lean forward ever so slightly. And I don't mean lean with your body, with your front of your body. I mean start to understand. You can have your hands out like this. Start to understand the difference between being on your heels and then being on your forefoot a little, yeah? And being on your heels and the difference it makes, and being on the forefoot and the difference it makes. Yeah, it's just a slight tilt forward, and all those toes dig into the floor. Yeah, now that's what you want. Yeah, that's what you want to develop. Yeah. So yeah, just stand in your split stance for a bit. Okay, check that your hips are square. This is a good time to do this. Yeah, checking that your hips are square. Also draw up. Yeah, so feet forward, your weight's a bit on your forefoot. But also, as you breathe in, draw up, as in pull up, yeah, like a scissors, you know, try and close the feet, yeah, but obviously you can't because the floor's in the way, yeah, and that's done nicely with a breath, like this, and then when you breathe out, go onto the heels a bit more, and when you breathe in, go onto the forefoot, when you breathe out, go onto the heels, and when you breathe in, go onto the forefoot, and again you're checking the hips, yeah? And this posture is about standing, just about standing, but also it's about the movement in the stillness, which is the heels as you breathe out, the forefoot as you breathe in, yeah? The heels as you breathe out, weight shifts to the heels, weight shifts to the forefoot as you breathe in, and pulling up here. Yeah, you can also just stand in this and breathe through it. Yeah, so again, we're preparing ourselves. Wrists and ankles should be in line. So some people, you'll stand like this and you'll already feel the tension here, you'll feel the tightness. And if that's the case, then of course you're going to have problems doing horse stance, and of course you're going to have problems doing your stances, because you need the flexibility of these bands at the side to form the angles that you need. Yeah, and again, we're going to go wider than you'd normally go. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and you're going to sit in that posture, and then it's up to you to practice this posture and then feel the difference. Yeah. So you can make it a little bit wider. I'm running out of mat here. Make it a little bit wider, yeah. And then once you've done that for a bit, I want you to just crouch down into the posture, yeah, like this, and just let everything flex. Yeah, again, wider than you would normally, yeah. And when you're crouching down, and this you'll hear creaks and cracks. And when you're crouching down, yeah, you're not crouching down like this straight, yeah. We're sort of not cheating a bit, but the back is straight. We're crouching like this, yeah. The bum's going out, yeah. The back is straight, but the back actually is straight. The spine's straight, but the back doesn't always reflect the spine. In other words, the visual of your back doesn't always reflect your spine. I'll show you this with a stick. So, if I get this stick here, and I put my back straight against the stick, yeah, with it in touch with my the bottom of my spine, if I'm actually upright, it's almost tilting a bit this way, yeah? So as you can see this way here, it is straight up and down, but when I'm crouching like this, even if I lean forward, my actual spine is still straight, yeah? It's just straight on a different plane, yeah? So I'm not doing this, not doing that, but the spine itself, even though it's not on this plane up and down, the spine is straight. So there's a lot of misconception that you see in training about keeping the back straight, keeping the back straight. I like to say keep the spine straight, yeah? So it doesn't matter when you're training these wider postures if your body is leaning, as long as your back is straight when you're crouching into them. And that's the important bit, yeah? All right. So we've done the split leg posture. And again, easy, you know, toes facing forward. Yep. Hands in line with, roughly in line with wrists. Yeah. And then you stand. Yeah, and this is a great one. You can set up this is the quintessential stance. It's self-supporting. It's like a bridge. Your center here is the freaking road, yeah, and your legs are on the bridge, yeah, and you should be able to stand in this. Once your flexibility and the bone alignment sorts itself out, you should be able to stand in this for hours on end. Well, I say hours on end, a long time, yeah. This is a long time you can stand like this because it's a self-supporting structure. This is what you want your stances to be, self-supporting structures, all right? Just things you can just hold yourself in, not muscle, yeah? Muscle develops, but it's mainly about bone alignment, tendon alignment, and just common sense, yeah? You can literally stay like this all day, yeah? And again, a great energy posture, yeah? A great energy posture, a great posture to stand in. And when I say energy, I just mean physical, actual effort and ability in the body, yeah? And alignment. When you stand like this, you will notice what imbalances you have. If your left leg's tighter than your right leg, if your left ankle's tight but your right ankle isn't, you know, if your freaking left toe hurts, if you stand like this and you put your hands out to the side and like one shoulder doesn't go up as much as the other one, these are all things that will affect your ability to perform. They'll affect your musculature, they'll affect your day-to-day life, and you might not even realize them. And this is also the essence of like Qigong practice and also yogic practices, is to just, first off, before you want the body to do great things, you need to just reset and straighten it all out. And that's why I love this split posture exactly for that. I love it for that, yeah? Because you can stand in it, and you can even stand in it against the wall, and you can pretty much check to see how your body's doing, yeah? Does this shoulder go back the same as this one? You know, how's my breathing through this position? You know, how much tension is in my legs? You know, does one of my hips want to twist this way and the other one, does it feel really tight? Okay, so now that you've cultivated this position, you've stood in it a bit, you might have even widened it a little bit, yeah? We're gonna flex into another posture, yeah? So we're gonna drive this hand down here. I mean, it doesn't matter how you do it. You could actually reach for your ankles. we'll do it simpler. We'll just reach for our ankles. So you're in this position. I want you to reach down. And the idea is that the foot, you imagine the foot's glued to the floor and the rest of everything is being pulled off the floor. Yeah, so you reach for this, pulling this, and you're pulling this. Yeah. And again, this is gonna stretch out everything. And if you're good with that, if you're all right with that, then you can just crouch on this plane here, put the hand down, crouch on that plane there, hand down, crouch on that plane there, hand down, crouch on that plane there, hand down, crouch on that plane there. Yeah, and again, don't worry for yourself if your back is pretty leaned over, yeah? Don't worry about that. Just get these legs in position, and naturally your body can worry about straightening up, yeah, when it's got the flexibility to do so. But at the beginning, you know, you might only sort of be able to get to here and you'll be like, oh, I can barely do it. But then if you lean forward a bit, as you crouch, you might be able to do it more and more and more. Yeah. Plus you got to grab your toes. So again, don't worry too much about leaning. Yeah. Just worry about bending. Yeah. And what I mean is that I'm leaning, but my back is the line of my back. If you get a stick and put it along the spine, is straight. Yeah. The back is straight. It might be straight on a different plane. So it's not straight like this up and down. It's straight at a few degrees. Yeah, at a few degrees. That's fine. What you don't want to do is this, where you're like down here, like hunched down, like, oh, you know, then there's no power in that. But there's power in, you know, having a lean that way and still having a straight back whilst you're developing it and training it. Yeah. If you lack the flexibility or whatever to be bolt straight back upright, but what I'm also saying is you don't have to worry too much about that. Yeah. Over the last couple of weeks, I've noticed that my flexibility, because the other things I've been doing, has gone down a bit. So again, that's why I thought we'd do this session, this training session. Yeah. Real easy stuff. Yeah. Real easy stuff. Alrighty. Okay. So now, so we've done that, and hopefully you've stretched these quite nicely. But you've done it in progression, so we'll stand upright. We'll stand upright, and we'll just allow the tendons to reset a bit. A few of these, up and down. Up and down. I also recently injured my back at work a bit, which also pointed to me that my tendons, my back and stuff like that was getting a bit tight, losing a bit of flexibility, and needed to have a bit of work done on it. Yeah. Starting to roll the neck forward a bit from sitting down too much in this body armor. Yeah, so time to work on stuff. Yeah? Alright, so what have we done? We started in simple split leg stance. And again, everyone always wants to progress to the next thing and leave stuff behind. But the amount of time I've spent just in the split leg stance, and it's not doing the splits as wide as you can, like Van Damme style. That's not what it is. Yeah, that's just a flexibility exercise. Yeah, it's not that. It's hands and feet just about ankles width apart or a little bit wider. Yeah. Then it's about, as I said, letting the center of gravity shift forward and letting these front muscles in the legs actually relax and letting the underside muscles here take over. And then you can draw them in by pulling them, yeah, like by pulling up, yeah, it's like an internal training, yeah, and in that way you can be standing here absolutely motionless, and from the outside someone can think, oh, you're just doing the splits, but actually you're standing in the splits, not too wide, not too short, and you're pulling up, you're really pulling on those tendons. It's like someone's got your tendons and they've just tightened them, like you're holding a weight, you know, like you're pressing down a weight, except you're pulling in. Yeah, and you can just stand there and breathe through those. Then you can relax and let everything relax, but the front muscles are still quite relaxed. Yeah, and then you can twist on the axis and just get some of that flexibility into those tendons there at the side, trying to keep good alignment. Yep, and you can work that, and it'll take a lot of strain off your hips, it'll take a lot of strain off your body. Now we're going to stand up, because we've been standing that split leg stance for 20 minutes now. Oh wow, got 8 thumbs up, well thank you very much. So we're standing in that split leg stance for 20 minutes, yeah, but it's wonderful, yeah. The only thing is talking kind of messes with your breathing a bit on this one, but that's all right. Yeah, and bend down, stretch out the back, and come up, and bend down, stretch out the back, and come up, and even I can feel doing this that I need work. Bend down, stretch out the back, and come up. All right, excellent. Yep. Yeah, like I said, I actually injured my back because everything in my body was getting a bit too tight. Okay, let's go on to the next one now. Yeah, and if you do this right for a good amount of time, you should get some. When you stand up straight, you'll feel clicking and popping and stuff like that, and all the joints, all the muscles kind of try and pop back to their normal, probably more incorrect positions or less flexed positions. Yeah, which is what they'll do. So again, look, we've done that for 20 minutes. We've stood in split leg posture. We've trained it like passively, just standing. Then we've trained it actively by pulling up, as if we're trying to close the legs like a pair of scissors. But it's actually a pulling up. And this is a feeling as well in a lot of Qigong, is when you're doing the movements, you're pulling up on the ground. Okay, so let's go on to the next ones now. Yep, okay, this again, magnificent, brilliant one, but again it starts from split leg posture. So you're standing like this, you jump, toes face forward, more or less, and ankles and wrists line up. Which again is a bit annoying if you've got monkey arms like me. It means you have to go even wider. Now, if it feels a bit lazy, then just go a little bit wider again. If things don't feel right, widen it a little bit. But remember, we're in between the splits and not the splits and a star jump pose. Yeah, we don't want to go any lower than sort of what you've got that measurement there. So ankles and wrists can line up, and then you can go a little bit lower, but then if you go too low, then you're just doing the splits, which is awesome. You keep doing them for flexibility. This is a happy medium ground. Okay, from here. So these bands at the side will have been stretched now, and we've been working on that forefoot stability, the real gripping the floor of shifting the weight. So I'll show you what I mean. So, if you can see, so here I'm like normal back upright, and you just shift a little so. And when you shift like this, so there, my front muscles engage and the heels digging into the floor. And if I go here, my front muscles and my legs turn off and relax, and these back muscles activate, which are very strong. And the good thing is, these front muscles will restrict a lot of your movement. The back muscles and the underneath ones, we want these ones to be relaxed, these ones to be turned on, and from here we can get a good movement, speed, fast, agile in our stance. Yeah, that's one of the keys. But anyway, we're going on to the next bit now. So yes, all right, going on to the next bit. So we're starting in our split-legged stance. You guys are going to hate this one, or it's normal. So we're going to go split-legged stance to left bow arrow, and then horse stance in the middle. Yeah, so this is why we did those little crouches before. Yeah, where we were pushing out. And again, if it's not quite hard enough, we want to lengthen and not shorten. Yeah, if things feel weird, if it feels a bit wrong, lengthen it, don't shorten it. Naturally, you'll want to shorten it, but if it feels like, that's not right, lengthen it, yeah? But don't worry about it yet. Anyway, okay, hands out like this or like this. Okay, 1 foot turns. So for my sake of this video, this is the right foot. Okay, and the right foot is in the heel of the right foot. Now this is all bone alignment. So these alignments are important because per se, this isn't a fighting posture. It can become one, but this is about training the muscles and the bones and the alignment. So the heel lines up with the inner arch, okay? And this bends and pulls this way. Now this is the stance where if you're getting too much pressure here on top, like most people do, and you'll be like, oh, it's too hard. You pull back with the back leg, guys. You lengthen and strengthen. And then you will unlock the secret of the stance. Yeah. Now you need to check for this one, strict, that this hip stays flat. So that's why this hand is back here, because doing this with the hand, or this, keeps the hip from rolling forward. If the hip rolls forward, it's a different posture. Yeah. And we're going to go down. Yeah, and you want to stand like this for a little bit. Sometimes I even do that because it helps. Because the straight leg is the one that you want to keep straight. Yeah. And again, you might need to do this to just press the muscles into place. Feel those feet digging into the floor, and breathe. Okay, once you've had enough, just press up, and you'll be in flat posture with 1 foot facing forward and 1 foot facing back like this. Yeah, then I want you to do, you might be in pain, I'm in a little bit of pain because I haven't done it in a while, is just you change the feet round to the opposite way. And you might have pain in the outer ankle, but pain, no gain. And then you take up the same posture again. From split posture there, you take up the same posture here. Remember, this hand goes back. It's important, yeah, because that keeps the hip flat. This foot, the arch of that foot lines up with the inner arch of the heel lines up with the arch, more or less, yeah. And then you bend this, yeah, and straighten this, yeah. And also, what I want you to do is, when you first do it, you'll bend and you'll try and pull your center of balance this way. But that's why we want this leg to creep back, yeah. I'll have to be straight to the camera. We want this leg to creep back, yeah. And if it feels weird or there's too much weight on here, you want to pull back with the back leg. So we want you to be fresh in the middle, yeah? Contrary to popular belief, your center of balance and your true weight needs to be in the middle, between these two legs. One leg's like this, one leg's like that, and you're in the middle. This is pulling, lengthening this, yeah? And this is pulling from underneath. Yeah, so it's not a passive stance. You're not just standing here with no forces. You're twisting this and you're pulling this front leg forward. Yeah, and you're pulling on the floor like this. But you'll probably just get that from the stretch initially. And again, if your body starts to do this, just force it straight. And again, this is again an exercise that even myself, I should have been doing more, because I can feel it. I feel like every time I feel like I'm a bit trapped within my own skeleton, I'll reset back and I'll do this exercise again. And already, the breath, the heat, you know, the power in the legs, I can feel it just building, okay? Now go back to the middle, yeah? And I'll switch to the other side and do the same again. And you might not be as far down as I am, because you might not be as used to it as I am, but you might be, all right? And again, if there's too much weight coming on the front of this muscle here, you're going to go more that way. You walk the leg, the straight leg walks backwards. You pull those muscles. And then come to the middle and sit into a bit of a horse stance. A deep horse stance, way deeper and way wider than you'd usually go. A bit like a sumo squat, really. And then you go again, other side. Focus on correct form, keeping everything straight. And then also, like with the split stance, lifting up if you've got the flexibility. And this will sort out your problems, I tell you. Like already for me, I have to do this quite wide for it to have much effect on my body. All right, and work through sets of that. I'll bend down. See, already for me, I can feel. See, now I know why I've had a sore back, because, you know, I can feel the different areas of tension and strain when I'm doing that exercise, where usually I would be nice and relaxed in it and have no problem with it. So yeah. Okay. So take a rest from that now and just have a little walk, because we've had our body in that position for like a further 10 minutes or so. You might get cracks and pops in your pops and stuff in your lower sacrum spine, which is the lowest spine, around the hips, ankle joints, whatever. But that's great. That's exactly what you want. You want the body to work that flexibility. When you first try it, when you first practice it, you know, your breath might be all over the place, you know, just really not where you want it to be. But then as your body relaxes into the strain, it'll sort itself out. So don't worry about that. Don't you worry about that at all. And I like to supplement those exercises with just like a front stretch. Anyway, we'll see whilst I'm recovering from that stretching or whatever it is, I'll see what comments Gordon Liu says, I'm following. Thank you, Gordon. Gordon Liu says, my body's falling apart, mate. Thanks for this. Yes, Gordon, this will help you a lot, man. Trust me. I've had people with I had a guy with chronic groin strain who used to play football and his football career was over. He's a guy I used to work with, and then I just gave him that exercise. We were doing the warrior one or bow arrow to Mabu to bow arrow, so Pubu to Mabu to bow arrow. I just told him to work cycles of that, and he managed to, straighten out his muscles, straighten out his tendons, and whatever his issue was, he nourished the muscle, he nourished the tendon, he lengthened and strengthened it, he stretched out all that scar tissue, and he built strength where there was weakness. So this is really good because I used to suffer a couple of years ago when I was about early 20s from sciatic pain and stuff like that from an injury that I got, and from skeletal alignment issues because of unbalanced training when I was growing up, affecting my skeleton. And I used this to help rehabilitate myself, lengthen and strengthen all the bones, lengthen and strengthen all the tendons and muscles and stuff like that, and get things going again. So yeah, Gordon, so nice one, mate. You do it. And it's great because it's just the difference between this, this stance like this, and then yes, of course you can lean forward in this one. Yeah, it's the difference between this, and then hopefully when you get used to it, you'll feel the difference between all these things. This flat posture here with the toes facing forward here and the foot like this, you'll feel that this is even if you go lower, this is a self-supporting structure. And the ability to support yourself in this posture will become better and better and better. But then not only will you be able to support yourself in this direction, as your flexibility and strength comes, you'll be able to pull in as well, pull up. And in essence, you'll be able to pull yourself out of the seated, I'm not saying you'll still be in the posture, but your muscles and skeleton will be able to pull up and get more power off the floor. And then here, again, we're doing it with the bladed posture, where we're not just seated in and relaxed, we're leaning a bit to the forefoot, and we're pulling in as if we're trying to pull our whole body off the ground. And it's difficult to explain, but if you're following on, you might be able to, it's more involving the back muscles. The front muscles should start to relax, which is good because one of my problems was overusing the front muscles of my leg. And that was causing me back issues, and even now it is, because these have tightened up. And now you do these sets of exercises, and it helps you to get, stretch these front muscles out and the tendons, and stop relying on them. Your body stop relying on them, you start relaxing them down. Yeah, and then again, the other side, pushing to the other side. And you can put a lean, yoga style lean in either direction. And you'll feel that stretch up there. But we've got to lengthen everything to strengthen it first. Yeah? And then, honestly, the first time you do this, your legs will be shaking. You'll feel like it's the worst thing in the world. But you can see how it's opening you up. Yeah? It's opening you up. Yeah? And then legs are forward here. I'll see what Gordon's comment is. We'll do one more set. And then you sit, and every time you do a round, you'll be able to sit into this better, nicer horse stance. Yeah. And at this point, keep it strict with the toes forward, because that'll stretch, and it's wide. It's way wider than you'd normally sit in. Yeah. But then, again, with the pulling that I told you, initially you'll sit down in it and you'll be like, oh, it's so painful, it's so wide. But then, as you get used to it, you'll be able to, if you can just see that movement in my hips there, you'll be able to pull the hips underneath, And you'll be able to, using that same mechanism that I told you about before, that lifting, where you'll be able to sink into the horse stance and then pull into the horse stance, yeah? And you're actually pulling up from these muscles here, yeah? And then relax. But even me, ooh, that was meant to be the theme of the year. Even me, well, I don't mean even me like I'm special, but I really needed this today, this training, because I've noticed that my whole leg flexibility's gone bad, and I've started to get extra tightness on my left side, pain in the back, so I needed this. Gordon says I was 10 minutes late, but I'll go back after. That's good to know my problems are from lack of exercise. I'm getting embarrassing problems. All right. So, split stance, holding it, breathing, yeah, letting it go a little bit more, breathing, weight to the forefoot and back, obviously we're wider than this. Then same idea, one foot turns in, and now rather than leaning forward like this, yeah, I want you to creep the front foot out and creep the back foot out. Yeah. So actually what you're doing is you're widening both legs, and the center of gravity is going in the middle. Yeah. So a lot of the times with this exercise, especially when you see it done badly, you see these people leaning like this, you know, and there's some people get lots of over effort on this front muscle here. Yeah. So we don't want that, because that's not the way, because what we want is the undersides of the muscles pushing up, yeah, and working. So that's why I'm saying to you, if you're having issues with it, pull the back leg back, push the front leg forward, and have a wider stance, not a shorter stance. Then it'll feel like something completely different, like a stance from the bowels of hell. But then once the pain goes, you'll realize that it's a self-supporting stance. Those under muscles start to become strong, they start to become stretched, and just take them a little bit more past their comfort zone. Yeah, and then change again to the other side. And again, look what I'm doing here. I'm trying to show. Yeah, so I'm not just bending this way, because I don't know, you might not even be able to get there. So I'm not just bending this way, and you see what my spine does, and it crinks here. No. Yeah, you can put your hands up here if you want. Yeah, I'm pulling this way with this back foot. Yeah, or I'm creeping with my front foot. So I actually want both feet to sort of have the same amount of distance. And remember, we're keeping the back hand from the straight leg. Whatever leg is straight. Well, I just like standing like this, really. This is the easiest way to stand, if you just have both hands like this. Because then you won't mess it up. The main point is you want to keep this back hip straight. Yeah, these are on the plane. Straight. And you'll feel, I mean, I don't feel it as much now, even when I haven't trained it, but you'll be feeling probably horrible stretching on the inside here. You know, you might look nothing like what I'm doing here, but this is how wide I have to go to feel the same amount of work as what you're feeling. But you might be in this stance. Hell, you might even be wider. We'll come up. Oh, feel that. Gordon says, yep. So I don't know, Gordon, like your stance, you know, I don't know, you might be here. You know, you might be going like this and just be like, oh, this is horrible. But even if you're doing that, make sure you creep this back leg back. Yeah. And again, don't feel afraid to just reset to just the split leg posture. Yeah. Because I mean, regardless of how bad your flexibility is or isn't, you should hopefully be able to get split leg posture with like legs with hands and ankles roughly in line. The way I do it is I just do a star jump. You just do a star jump and have a look. And then usually your hands and ankles are in line, and maybe add another creep. Yeah? Do it on a line or something, because my line on my mat's here. But you guys can't see the line, so I've had to move it. But if you do it on a straight line, you get a good idea. Yep, you do it on a straight line. Then you can make sure your body's nice and aligned. Yep. Yep. So it's always nice to do it on a straight line. Yep. And then you can do things like what I was doing there, where so we've got feet and hands, ankles width apart. We're forward, and then you're making sure these legs are these are straight, hey? They're not, don't bend them. These are straight. And then you can twist one way, twist the other way. Obviously twist forward. Touch your toes. Now don't touch the floor down directly ahead of you. Touch the floor in front, because that'll pull your back straight. Yeah, if you try and touch here, like look, you see what I mean? If you try and touch here, you'll probably do this. So you touch forward ahead of you, and that stretches your back out, yeah? Even if you've got something in front of you like this, yeah? See what I mean? Yeah, and you can shimmy backwards, shimmy, because that's what you actually want. You want this back nice and straight. Everything opened up, yeah? And you can even use something to, if you want to know what the feeling feels like, you can even use something like this to lean on as you then bend and straighten each opposite leg. And you get the idea of, oh yeah, that's what it feels like when my back is straight and my legs are bent and straightening. And obviously, as your power increases and your strength increases, you'll be doing that just with a slight lean. Like, you know, you'll be doing that slight lean, just with a slight lean, you know, do you get what I mean? But even me, I'm disappointed in my performance at the moment. And again, the true power comes from lengthening everything, not shortening everything, all right? Lengthening. And again, I'm not actually even getting to do it as the way I would usually train, the length that I would usually train, because I'm trying to fit everything in the video. But we're talking, yeah, out here. You know, my feet are. Well, look, this is a 6-foot staff. So let's see where my feet are in comparison to the 6-foot staff. So the problem is you can't see it on the floor. But maybe if I bring it here, yeah, you might be able to see. Look at this. So my front toe is a few inches off 6 foot. So that's what we're talking about, the distance in between the legs here. Yeah, and we're cutting off maybe about a foot. So you've got about a 5 foot distance in between this, and you've got nearly like 5.5, or maybe again a 5 foot distance in between this. Yeah. And once you do that, then your normal distances are fine. Yeah. Your normal Mabu, your normal horse stance can be powerful. Yeah, and energetic, and your stances can be good, and your flexibility can be good. But of course, yeah, everyone will have different limbs to me, so you know, you don't have to copy it exactly. So don't be too worried about the distances. But that's just an example for you there of what those distances were. That's a 6-foot staff on the ground. And again, I suppose if you're starting, you might be up here, you know, but as long as your alignment's good. But again, the split-legged stance, the split posture stance, again, there's about 5 foot in the middle there between. You should be all right with this one, yeah? Even if it's just holding it like this, yeah? And then once you get used to that, I would recommend you just hold it like this, yeah? Because again, this is good, opens up everything here, stretching everything out, yeah? And then you can straighten this, bend this leg a little bit, and straighten this one, and bend this leg a little bit, and straighten this one, and bend this one, and straighten this one, and so on and so on and so on. But, so, usually when I get, thanks for the thumbs up, so usually when I get like a new student or something like this or whatever, I don't know if you want to call it student, whatever you want to call it, but I talk to people, and you might have heard about how traditionally you would hear in traditional karate and this, that, and the next thing, you would train stances for 3 months. And a lot of people, you know, and I remember hearing this when I was starting off in martial arts. And I was just, my understanding of training stances was so different back then. And a lot of people's is so different. When you said, how can you train stances for 3 months? You imagine like standing in these karate stances and standing in horse stance and your muscles shaking and you're like, you know, but no, it's not that at all. It's just like iron palm training. So it's actually just like yoga training. 3 months, 30, 60, 90 days is the minimum it takes for your body to remodel, to readjust. And what's happening in 3 months, because this is what I did, I trained my stances every day for 3 months in this manner. What's happening in the 3 months is that it's not that your muscles are becoming stronger, oh they are, and you know you're getting, you know, strength and you're building up like Goku in his gravity chamber. No. Your alignment is getting correct, yeah? There's flexibility, the prerequisite flexibility and strength is coming, but the main thing is the flexibility, the bone alignment and everything like that. So that's why going through these 3 sets of things that we've done, the split stance, the mabu left, mabu right, and the pubu left and pubu, pubu, yeah, pubu, whatever. Bow arrow left, bow arrow right, and horse rider stance in the middle, which is definitely mabu. That's why going through that set, the set that we've just done in the way that you do it, you know, that is true training of the stances. And like usually if I get a new student or someone who learns, I will spend the beginning of each lesson doing stuff like that. But for myself, I spent more than 3 months doing that every day, getting the flexibility, the box splits, the side splits, just doing it, getting the alignment right like we've just done. Because that's the true key to being grounded, to being fresh on top and stable below, is the training of these stances. Yeah, you know, that is the true key to it. Let's stretch these out. Yeah, and obviously any other flexibility stuff you can do is great, but this video isn't about that, it's just about this set. Oh, so let's have a look here. What comments do we have? Gordon says, I'm close to what you're doing, bit unsteady though. Excellent, Gordon. Well, that's brilliant, mate. It's fine to be unsteady. It shows you, so the unsteadiness and the shaking of the legs and stuff, it shows you where the weaknesses are, yeah? And how, then it shows you, like when you see someone doing it and they're not unsteady and they're solid, it shows you how much, you know, how you'll get there very quickly, but it shows you where you have to go. Yeah, because you're not probably, you know, you might even be a martial artist, but you might not be used to, you know, standing in such wide stances, because it's like, why do we need to stand in such wide stances? They're non-realistic, they're blah, blah, blah. Yes, they are, but this is training to lengthen and strengthen the leg muscles, the tendons, to get the alignment right. Think of it just as like supplementary yoga for your martial arts, which happens to be the freaking core of the secrets of like stance training, but also the core of like qigong and energy training and stuff like that, is having this alignment. Yeah, so just think of it as that. Simon says, I recently begun using bear crawling, resting, squats, and hanging as exercises. I find them pretty effective. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, bear crawling, that's just crawling on your hands and knees. Hanging is great, for training. Again, I like hanging because it's like one of my mottos, lengthen and strengthen. So you're lengthening the tendons, then you're placing, which is what they're good at doing. Tendons are elastic, they love to be stretched, they love to be pulled and nourished, and then you're placing a load on them at full range of motion, so you stretch them even more, yeah, and you just hold it on. Great. Sometimes you've got to be careful, because the lactic acid and shit and all that can build up. You can build up a lot of tension in them, you can damage them, but you know where that is. That's the point where you let go, so they won't get damaged, they'll get nourished. So that's awesome. Yeah, the only thing personally I'm not happy about with doing this training today is that my breathing just didn't quite feel right with it. But then I have been talking constantly, and I've been a little bit ran down the last couple of days. But that's also another sign that the body's just, gone into a place where it's not quite being as effective as it can be. So again, a nice time to do this. I'll do this over the next couple of days. Well, I do this sort of routine anyway, but once I resurrect it, I will do it. I'll make sure I get myself back to the place where I want to be, where I'm got my good stability back, good energy back, good breath, good effort. Because like I said, I've felt my left leg's been tightening up, felt my back's been tightening up on the left side, which is where I have an old injury. And again, you break it out of your thing, call it qigong, call it yi jin jing, call it ba dua jing, call it whatever you want. But it's just it's a mix of all those kinds of things, really. It's just simple stuff to help your stances, your longevity, your alignment. It's like yoga. It is. It's basically like yoga for you. And then after you've done it, you'll move your arms, you'll talk, you'll feel clicks and clacks in your shoulders, and you'll be surprised how your legs align up with everything else in your body. You'll be walking after doing, maybe after a couple of episodes of this, or training it a little, or even on the same day, you'll walk out of your room and you'll go click, and your shoulder will go click, and you'll be like, oh shit, my shoulder, I didn't realize, but my shoulder's been I've been hunching my shoulder like this for like my whole life. I didn't realize. And then click, it'll go down, and you'll be like, oh my God, I feel so good. Maybe that tingling that you get in your freaking little finger will go away because the little pinch muscle there will go out. And, so many good benefits. I had a very compressed lower spine through like a bit of a congenital issue, but also from old training that I did. After it took a long time, but after months and months and months of doing this training, I was able to, as well as some other treatments, but I was able to totally decompress my spine. So in my early 20s, I'm 35 now, but in my early 20s, a physiotherapist said to me, the chiropractor said to me, Brett, you're going to have to come back at least once a month for like the rest of your life, because your spine's just knackered. It's so compressed and there's so much tension on it. And then I went away and I developed these and, took them from my training and started doing them, worked them and did them real diligently for 3 months.
amongst all sorts of other exercises. Yeah, and after a month or two, I went back to the, even after a few weeks, as the sessions progressed, I went back to the physio. Maybe even after like a week or two of doing them, I went back to him. It was such an improvement. He was like, "Oh, Brett, like, what the hell? Your spine's like feeling much better. It's in line, yeah." And then slowly over months and months and years, I was able to more or less totally decompress my spine. Now, I don't know if you guys know the feeling, but if you've got a bit of a back injury, you'll get that like pressure that builds up on one side, and it's like, oh, and then suddenly you'll move and it'll go click, and you'll be like, oh, and the pressure goes, and you're like, yay, so now I can pretty much do that on command. If the pressure starts to build, I'll just go like this. I can just do it myself. I stand in a particular way, and I go like that. And it just goes click, and I just click it back in myself. So yeah, real useful. Yeah, real useful stuff. Okay. Oh, my knees. So yeah, hopefully, sorry Gordon, I've been going on a bit there. Hopefully that helps. And these, thanks for the thumbs up there. Hopefully that helps, and these exercises will help nourish your body. Let's see, we got him. Simon Erickson says that's pretty cool. Yeah, Simon, it's amazing what you can do yourself. You got to do it yourself, don't you? If you've got well, my motivation was pain. Because I was kind of like somewhat debilitated by my injury, but my motivation as well was wanting to continue with my martial arts and succeed in my martial arts. So I couldn't let a back injury, for want of a better word, I couldn't let a back injury hold me down, So I wanted to succeed, So I just had to heal. And I used what I knew to heal, which is my martial arts. But I took it to the next level because I was like, well, I want my flexibility to be better. I've got to work on my alignment. I've got to work, and all the ideas come together in your head about alignment, about bone. You put some yoga stuff together, you mix it in there. All your areas of study come together, in practice. That's the important point. These 10% of theory you get everywhere. You can't mistake the practice, You can't stand here for like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes standing in these stress postures, like I'm doing and like we're doing, talking with free breath like we are, if you're not practiced, if you're not talking the truth. Because I tell you what, if I was talking bullshit to you guys now, I'd be shaking like this, and my legs would be shaking, and I wouldn't be able to hold these postures. It wouldn't be as effortless. It wouldn't, it just wouldn't be, So yeah, really the king of restorative postures, you're looking at it here. And again, what is this? What is this? Well, it's reminiscent of a lot of Kung Fu stances, but what is it? It's pu-bu, it's bow arrow stance, basically. Yeah, bow arrow. Yeah, but it's also this back flat stance. Yeah, and let's go to the other side. Yes. And you may find that it's better for you if the heel lines up with the toe of the forefoot, because that gives you more torsion, because you're working out like you work out a little torsion. You want to stretch this bit, you want to, but it's up to you. And again, then once you've understood the stance and the posture, then you use what I call the actual bow arrow, yeah? Which is the secret bow arrow in bow arrow stance is not this, yeah? It's the feeling of drawing an old style bow up from the ground, the bow of course being your legs, or drawing it with your legs, locking it in place, yeah? And that's this feeling again of the pulling, yeah? So the front muscles here should be relaxed. The alignment is set, the hips are straight. Legs are nice and wide and stable into the ground. The breath is good. The base is locked nice and straight. That gets the breath good. And then you pull up, yeah? You pull and you rise your weight off the floor. And then when you get really good into it, you just put your weight on your forefoot. Now you actually take your heel off the floor, yeah? This one, this left side's a bit more difficult for me because I've got an imbalance, yeah? An imbalance that I need to work out. And that's why at the moment, my old back pains come back because of that imbalance on the left side. And then again, you change it to the middle and you might be aching and you go into your large, extra large horse stance. And try your best to keep your feet, toes forward, yeah? And then when you're doing your actual functional horse stance, they can sneak out a little bit. Yeah, but having good form for this practice, this training, because it's all about stretching and aligning the tendons and everything. Try and keep that form really nice. And then, like I said, and dudes, I can feel the tension in my tendons trying to fight me on this one. I can feel it. But that'll go away as you train it, so don't worry. But even I can feel it because like I said, I'm a little bit out of practice. I can feel the counter tension or the bad tension of the freaking walks and standing up at work and moving in the incorrect way. I can feel that counter tension when you stand back, trying to lock you back into the not good alignments. Excellent, guys, excellent. Ooh. And again, you'll do that, your upper back will feel better, your neck will feel better, just from your legs, because your legs and thigh muscles are such powerful muscles, they exert such force on your body, yeah? So when you lengthen them, you strengthen them, you nourish them, you realign them, you really do affect your performance and your ability to do stuff, which is good. So how long have we been going for? 68 minutes now. Have we got some? Simon says, how many minutes per day would you recommend? Yeah, well, Simon, it's up to you, but do however many you can spare. Do I don't know, 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or I tell you what, even one little set is better than nothing. Like some days I would, because all you need to do is get those muscles stretched. So some days I would come and I would just be before bed or in the morning. It's a bit more difficult in the morning because you're really not limber. But the morning's also a good time to do it, or before you go to bed. You stand in your split stance. 1 foot creeps out, bend the leg, creep the back leg back, and then stand. Yeah, make sure that hip's checked, and then, stand like that, push up from the floor. Yeah, pull, dynamic. Yeah, and just change it to the other side. Pull, stand. Feel the energy. Lock the hip. Feel the way the body sets into the ground. Have time to feel those things. Don't let this leg roll in. Try your best to push it out. And then when you get tired standing like that, go into the horse stance in the middle, which again will be a self-supporting stance, so you can probably stay there for a while. Just breathe through it, mate. And then other side, when you get tired on that, pull. You can even switch to this and just pull the stretch as well, then it's changed into something else. Yeah, and you can stretch to the side. Stretch. And then from doing this, you'll be able to do the box splits. You'll be able to do the normal side splits. It'll just open up everything. But the main thing is step to that, step to that. Jesus, I thought someone was behind me there. It creeped me out. Do it on a straight line so you can check it. When you get good at it, be able to raise. Yep. Do some kick-ups afterwards at the front. Yeah, because all the tendons will be nice and loose. Do a few twizzles. Do a few squats down to the floor and bows. Oh, just straighten the back. Because the back, you'll be feeling it on your back because there's strain on your hips. Yeah, awesome. Awesome, awesome. And there we go. No. Let's see if I can move my light. Yeah, so there we go. That's that side of things. Hopefully, yeah, just not feeling the breath today, but hopefully you guys, hopefully you can give that a try. Hopefully that's helped you out. Gordon says nice aches in leg now. Yeah, and if you can do it a couple of times a day, like if you can do it once at the beginning of the day and once at the end of the day, you'll benefit. And also, man, things are freaking me out today. Also, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised after like a little bit of a rest, just a little bit of a rest. You know, and do that and do some of your sparring or some of your other training or whatever, and then you come. You know, you do another one. Do another one set. You'll be surprised at the progress that you get. Excuse me. So yeah. No, good, real good stuff. Yeah. Geez, I'm glad I did that today. It showed me that I need to break those exercises out again. Mainly because of my left leg. Left leg's been giving me some problems. Got to constantly maintain. See, it won't make your problems go away, but it'll start to fix them. And if you do it enough, you know, you can reset the problem. And it might not come back ever. It might not come back in a long time. It might come back a little bit, and then you can reset it again, like I'm doing. You know. Gordon says I finally peeled myself off the sofa at last. Yeah, exactly, Gordon, and it's not, I'm glad you did. It's not difficult. It is difficult, but it's not like running a marathon or something, but also the benefits of that stance training. So you read about, in old Kung Fu manuals and stuff like this, you read about the guys who train in horse stance, you know, being able to run for kilometers and kilometers and training the stances because there's so much power in their legs and da-da-da. But the main thing as well is the flexibility allows the muscles and the body to move with better ease, you know, because there's less tension and strain on everything. Yeah. So doing these exercises will actually help your fitness. It'll help your running because do you know what? You'll feel, like they say, fresh on top, stable below. You'll go outside, you'll be walking and you'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to break into a jog, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And you just, you know, it's like putting oil on an engine, you know, you'll feel the benefits over and over and over. Trust me. Just keep up the good work, that's all. Alrighty, well, I guess that's kind of like the crux of the video there. Nothing amazing, but thanks for the comments, guys. Thanks for tuning in. again, thanks to the Patreon guys for supporting the channel, and these streams usually go over to the Patreon for the guys to see. Yeah, well, anyway, guys, look, that's going to be me signing out. Gordon, thank you very much, mate. If you're not, please do like and sub and just support the channel by doing that alone. It's awesome. Yeah, well, yep. It was meant to be the theme of this year was flexibility, qigong and stuff like that, and the kind of theme ended up dying a death. I've been training some of it myself, but the filming of the theme and the spreading of the theme sort of died a death because of how busy I've been. But there we go. We can always go back to things. There we go. So anyway. All right, guys. All right. So, yeah, have a good one, and I'll catch you around. Cool.